Book your driving lesson now
at dla-driving.co.uk.
Sponsored by DLA Driving School.
Hello and welcome to Oh Wonder Town. Here's what we're going to be talking about today. Another trip up north to Manchester and sadly another defeat for Luton. Despite a brave performance in my eyes, that Manchester City showed exactly why they're chasing a fourth Premier League title in a row as they end up putting 5 past an injury-ravaged Luton Town. We're going to speak about that game in more detail too. 5 games to go, of course, and we ask you guys, how confident do you feel about the final 5 games? How many points we're going to need to get? We're going to discuss that in more detail. We have our 3-word reviews and much, much, much more. And with us tonight, we have...
Supporting Luton Town is very much like making love to a beautiful woman.
Steve.
Good evening, mate.
And Darren. No Bataro tonight, sadly. I hope he's going to get back next week and we'll be back to that 4 because everyone was saying how nice it was.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
It's not been too bad. It was traffic-wise, decent journey up to Manchester and back. You know, nice and easy, but no real surprises.
No real surprises, Darren. I know you watched the game, or you watched most of the game, and you know, it's just, what did we expect?
Probably just that, I think, wasn't it? We did really, really well, didn't we, for quite a long time. But I think just ran out of steam in the end. And actually, I think we probably were expecting maybe a result sort of similar to that. But I think other people were probably expecting a lot more, you know, possibly 7s and 8s. So
isn't it a sack of crap, though, that 90-odd seconds into the game, Haaland does a completely rubbish volley, miles off target, smashes one of our guys full in the face, and it goes in. And hardly anyone from Manchester is remotely interested in Hash's, you know, being sparked out on the floor and that. But, you know, they've got absolutely everything going for them against us. You don't need that bloody level of luck so early on either. It's just, it's a liberty.
On a different note, I did do a tweet from the stadium about the Milton Keynes Supporters Club, which was just a tongue-in-cheek thing. And I'm thinking, you know, how many people would see that? Normally a couple of hundred. 1.7 million currently have seen that. And, you know, if you haven't, go and look it up.
So would you want people that live in that area to support the Mongs or
Well,
City?
you see, no. You can't say
Luton.
that.
We want to support Luton, don't we?
Well, look, I've actually looked up the Manchester Supporters Club, which I took the mickey out of, and they formed in 2021, and they've supported Manchester City since 1969, as far as I can see, except for one guy. So we won't give him the big ups, but the rest of them, you know, fair play to you for not turning and going down the road to see the MK Dons.
Yeah, okay.
That's the big thing. We might as well just get straight into the game, and we've touched on it already, Steve. 3-word reviews of Manchester City 5, Luton Town 1. Phil, no real surprise. Justin, men against boys. I don't know if I agree with that one. I might come back on that one. Rhiannon wasn't expecting anything. Kevin, football in library. Chris, empty seats everywhere. Texo, could have been worse. Gemma, no new injuries. Meaty, never say die. Dominic, big 5 matches. And Gary, now season starts. Do you want to take a couple of those, boys?
yeah, I've got a couple. I think I said to you, Dave, myself. So I'll go with Gemma. No new injuries. I think that was really, really important.
That is key.
I should imagine a couple of players that were almost on the fringe of it. Maybe a Mengi didn't play for that reason. So that's a huge plus. But I'm with Gary. Now the season starts.
We've been saying that for a few weeks now.
No, I think we always had this game on our mind, didn't we? We always... Look, we wanted to get through this game and be in touch and have a chance, and we're exactly where we wanted to be.
Yeah.
And Steve, what do you fancy out of those lot?
Well, there's one that just reminds me of something my wife said to me on the wedding night, and that is Rhiannon wasn't expecting anything. No, it is what we expected. Football in library. Never say die, you know, and I think that's what you can take for granted from Luton. Never say die.
It was obvious to me when we got there, we're not going in there knowing that we're going to win. But you was just hoping for that miracle off chance that Manchester City wouldn't be on the boil and, we nicked something, a bit like Brentford did. Although, let's be fair, Brentford played really well that time. But it just wasn't to be. Once you got in that stadium and got to your area where you're standing or sit, if you did seats, wherever you were sitting, and you're hoping that, Haaland doesn't do anything, and the first attack he gets on the ball, he looked awesome.
I'm going to say he sort of blew past.
Honestly, it was
past Burke, wasn't
Burke,
it?
Yeah.
And it wasn't because Burke was slow, but he was just on it in a flash, and he was through. Yet again, great save from Kaminsky, and they were immediately battling and working so hard to block the shots and stuff like that. And I think because I think Hashi made a really good block on the second shot, and that's why it sucks. That then the ball loops up. There's a volley that's going for a bloody throw in. It smashes someone in the face,
and even then it smashed him in the face, and it could go anywhere. It could go anywhere, and then
I know.
Just your luck.
It went straight in the goal. Just before we touch on that though, which we've had twice now, the Haaland thing. Every time he got the ball, I was in fear that he would go through and score. Every time
he runs like he's a real menace. He's very purposeful with his getting into the box or getting into a position. You see so many players making the run, but he wants to be there and he wants to get it. Whereas you see a lot of people sort of just making the run, and if it comes to him, fine, but he wants it. And he can. I'll imagine he's quite an intimidating person to play against.
Yeah, and after the cup game, scored 5, didn't he? So he wants that golden boot, I'd imagine, and he would have looked at that as a game to possibly get a few himself. So he would have been right up for it.
Yeah.
Well, he definitely was right up for it, and we touched on the goal. The volley was going to the corner flag, Darren.
If you're lucky, it was probably going even wider, wasn't it?
It's one of those moments where you just couldn't believe it had gone in.
You just think, exactly. It was just, well, that's just crap luck, isn't it? So early on as well, and did it make it better for us because they weren't so relentless going after us and that?
Well,
but
we defended so well. I thought we'd done so well.
I think it says more about us, the reaction afterwards. I don't think they eased up or anything. I just think we defended so well, and to get to the point where we did at half time was brilliant after that start, because we all know it would have Edwards would have gone out or said go out, keep it tight, first 10 don't get in, and 2 minutes in that happened. So it says more about us how we reacted after that.
I said to my grandson, I think it was about 35 minutes in, something like that, they won a corner, and you could see Fred and Doughty, and a couple of others, they were really already blowing hard. They were working so hard to sort of plug the gaps and not make it easy for them to get in and that. I mean, because it was just relentless. But, every time we got the ball, we really tried to attack. I thought Chong, again, put in a massive effort, and he was really direct. And I thought when we got the ball, we really tried to do something. It is what it is.
You got to look at the Manchester City team, Darren, and look at them and go, they are world champions, they are European champions, they are Premier League champions. They are the best team in Europe right now, surely. So we would never get. They were a class above us. You've only got to admire how they pass the ball around. Seriously,
and Rodri on the bench.
Crazy.
A player like that, and he's on the bench.
Whereas our bench was 2 keepers and 5 youth team players, wasn't it?
Yeah, you can't even compare.
Foden on the bench.
Foden on the bench. It's bonkers, isn't it? But they're sandwiched in between the Real Madrid games. And
if you don't like the style of their football, which is just pluck away and find that space, keep possession. I mean, they have had the most touches in the opposition's box since recording started in the Premier League. But I can't help thinking, we've had a second string team. I don't like calling that. I did say that last week. We've had an understrength team out there against them, and they've showed us that they did as much as they could. They defended for 60 odd minutes after the goal.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned Fred earlier. I thought he was exceptional. I thought he really worked so desperately hard, and already you can see him improving in the 2 or 3 games that he's had.
Don't you find that the way we conceded the first one was disappointing, of course, but after that, we did have a couple of chances, not many, a couple of chances going forward, but it was wave after wave after wave.
Yeah, it was relentless.
And it was only a matter of time before they scored. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I've got to say is we're prone to conceding sloppy goals. But, okay, the first one we spoke about, but apart from that, they're decent goals.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a penalty in there, but
that penalty, Darren. He squared Fred up an absolute treat. He really did. You could see almost as Fred was making the tackle, he was going, oh shit. But he just one way then the other. Yeah,
but we saw that from other games. The defender for Spurs finished on his arse for two of Newcastle's goals. It happens.
Yeah,
but. Okay, penalty. So we've got a penalty in there. We've got a deflected own goal in there.
But the volley from, was it Kovacic, wasn't it? Yeah, that was exceptional.
I think, you've just got to, we've said this before on many, many podcasts. If you're going to lose to some glorious goals.
Yeah.
And, they scored some glorious goals. They really did. Second one, you're right. It was a massively fantastic volley in. And then we had our own chances after that. Woodrow comes on.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, can he make anything out of that? And he's one that hit the bar, Steve. I thought was going in.
Yeah. I think he will be slightly disappointed that it wasn't a bit lower. Lovely technique, got a nice clean shot on it, and again, but I think it was Fred that sort of won it on the right, sort of drove in.
Good movement.
Yeah, that's right. It was really good. We were showing some intent when we had the ball and had the opportunity, and it was a great opportunity. One of those things.
I don't know if I can say this, but if that goes 2-1, is it a different game? I don't think so.
No, because the home cup game showed that. We got it 3-2. We got it back to,
from 3-0 down.
From 3-0 down, 3-2, and they went, we'll start playing again then.
Yeah.
And then they got away from us. So I don't think so.
I was thinking all the time, we don't want to lose. I think I said this last week. We didn't want to lose by a massive amount. We put our best team out. And at 2-0, maybe you're thinking, don't score more than 3. Don't score more than 3. And we just kept going. And they didn't score the third one until, the 76th? That was the pen, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the pen, the third one, yeah.
That was disappointing for me. What, the
conceding of it?
Well, just given, because you just knew it was going to come. You just the way they were playing, someone was going to do that for somebody to take somebody out. There was going to be a penalty, and it wouldn't be for us. That's how I felt. Because they were just chucking bodies on the line everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But, as I said a minute ago, he really done a number on Fred. He sort of went into the right, then back out to the left, and, just drew the challenge. That's what you get with all this quality, mate.
When you're watching the game live and, me being me, I need to check what the others are doing. And you're thinking, this couldn't be any worse today when we're playing. And then you're thinking, well, maybe we'll just get back in it. And, Ross Barkley. Have you seen the goal? It's just amazing, wasn't it? I think the way that he took the goal and the passion he showed after he scored it, because he tried to get the crowd up a bit, didn't he? It's a good strike.
Yeah, it was. And what I really like is that we were 3-0 down at the time. But again, we weren't sitting back and just trying to keep numbers. We were still going, weren't we?
When we had the ball, we tried to attack.
Yeah, and it was a high press, wasn't it? And a really good high press. And it was Barkley that won it, wasn't it? Off the press. Great feet. And again,
brilliant feet, actually.
Yeah, brilliant feet.
The way that he held it.
He is arguably he is both footed, isn't he? But I'd say his left is his weaker, isn't it? But lovely finish.
Yeah, because his first touch was with his right foot onto his left foot, so he could then play it sort of past the guy. Then one of his
dropped a massive shoulder in there.
Yeah,
didn't he?
I'm going to say dropped his shoulder and then just put it away nicely. But it's lovely. But that goal was made by his control and instant touch past the defender. Those first 2 touches.
Shout out before that though. Before we scored, Pelly came on to make his 400th appearance for Luton Town. That's a big milestone to get, isn't it? Massive.
That's some effort. It really is, and fair play to him.
Actually, one you won't see so much nowadays.
No.
Not many players will get to that now.
No, exactly.
Well, he's got 5 more chances to really make an impact on our team this season. Let's hope it works. At 3-1, you're thinking, just keep it at 3-1. We're dragging towards the end of the game.
I wanted it to finish at 3-1. I said to my grandson, I said, that will do. If we can just leave it at that, I'll be happy with that, because the goal difference could come into it with the people say, I'll have a couple of points back.
Forest went there and lost 6-0. Obviously they beat 6-2 in the cup, but 3-1 I'm quite happy. 3 minutes to go, they score again. It's a marvellous run, I think, from was it Doku scored? And and then you're going 4-1. Please don't score anymore, because it's the game's over. And I think this is what distorts our performance really. 2 goals in the last 6 minutes, and one is in +3 of injury time.
Dave, as you saw it, they were out on their feet. They had worked so hard from the very first minute, and Man City are beyond exceptional at pulling teams from side to side, pulling them out and creating sort of pockets of space and manipulating it. I said earlier about the work that Fred and all of the defenders were having to do. I mean, they must have covered some distance in that game, and those last 2 goals is purely because they were absolutely dead on their feet.
I just think it's a shame. It's a shame that happened after putting in all that performance. And look, I'm not belittling the team, but we also know that if Kabore was allowed to play, he'd have played. Mm-hmm. If Mengi was fit, he'd have been in there, and Hashioka might not have been in where he was playing, and he's not out of position. I'm not saying they...
you can't do your ifs and buts, though.
Well, I'm doing it now, though, Steve.
I'm not saying you can't.
Yeah, but
I'm doing
despite all that, we still...
That's what I'm trying to say.
How bad is it? We've come away losing 5-1, but we're sat here going, okay, it's fine.
5-1 is just what we might have expected.
Yeah.
We was hoping it wouldn't be any more than 3, but 5 is, 5
I think our efforts warranted maybe like a 3-1, but as I say, because they are so relentless and they work you so hard, that's when they get the late
Out
goals.
of all those teams at the top, they're the ones that keep going.
Yeah.
They won't just 3-1 and that'll do. Arguably Arsenal 2-0 against us, and they kind of went, okay, they didn't push. And we say about our goal difference, they didn't know the results that were coming, Man City, but they needed better goal difference as well, so they were going for it.
Exactly, and as you pointed out last week, Darren, Palace are still right in this.
How long are we in, Dave? I knew that was coming.
17 minutes.
If I may quote, I can't see them getting another point this season.
Yeah. Well, listen, you got to, if you're going to talk about the Palace game, let's talk about that, because of the Palace Liverpool game. Palace did exactly to Liverpool what we were trying to do when we were there to defend a 1-0 lead, and they did it tremendously. They almost went 2 up, didn't they?
Yeah.
But the body's on the floor for them, and every moment
they're defending. Henderson, was it Henderson in goal for them? I think it was sensational. And I know we were putting bodies on the line against City, but my word, they were putting bodies on the line against Liverpool. They're a few points they would have known winning that game. Probably now goes against everything I said last week, and that may just do them. Yeah,
I mean Liverpool's season's unravelled sort of really quite quickly, isn't it? It'd be a shame if Klopp only got a League Cup, wouldn't it?
It'd be a shame, wouldn't it? I don't want to diss them too much, but yeah, it'd be a real shame. Just on the touch of that, you say compare the performances of Palace at Liverpool and us at Manchester. I think it's totally comparable, except we couldn't keep them out. And I think if you look at Palace's goal, it was a touch of class. The way that they play the ball, and it's gone from all over the pitch, and then a simple knock in because they drew the players out. Brilliant. Manchester City are not capable of conceding a goal against a lower team like that because they are so good. And I think there's sometimes you just got to hold your hands up, Darren, and say they are so good.
Yeah. No, you do. It's as simple as that. But I think with Palace, we're saying a touch of class from Barkley for our goal. Palace, it was one of the first times in ages they had Eze and Elise on the pitch at the same time, and
they're good players.
They're good players, and we've got good players. I think we all think the same about Barkley's that next step up.
Yeah, and Lokonga, I think Lokonga makes Barkley even better, and vice versa. It's just a shame that. They're not on the pitch for us.
It's amazing that belief. I only really played pub football, but when I played, we had a couple of really good strikers. And when we'd kick off, you look and you see those guys taking the kick off, and you go, "Oh, we're going to have a good game today. We're going to be all right." And I just wonder whether Palace psychologically look up there and they go, finally we've got Elise Eze back and everything. It gives them that belief.
Yeah, the other players have got to be more confident and happy with the better players available.
So hopefully when our ones come back, our players start.
Are we going to see him this weekend, do you think?
Do you know what? I'll be very surprised if we don't see the likes of Mengi back. I'd be very surprised if Lukonga's not ready.
Maybe Gabe?
I'll show. I mean, listen, we've got 5 games to keep ourselves up. I suspect that Brentford is the big one. I mean, if we lose against Brentford, it becomes really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And not impossible, but really difficult.
That's right.
So we talk about must-wins. Saturday, Darren, is a must-win, isn't it?
Oh, they all are. They all are now, aren't they? But
I'll take 15 points.
the home games especially. The home games especially. What is it? Brentford, Everton, Fulham.
Yeah.
You got to win them all and hope you get something at Wolves and West Ham.
I was going to say, and they are away games that you could say there is a point or two or more to be had. It's not belittling Wolves or West Ham because they've done really well, but they are games that you could think, well, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that we could nick stuff
you'd
there.
much rather be playing Wolves now than a month or 6 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
That'd probably come back to bite me as well, but there we go.
Well, it's a full strength team that you're after, isn't it? That's the thing. If you we've so missed Adebayo. We've missed Adebayo. Carlton Morris has been fantastic.
Yeah,
but just imagine Eli being up there with him.
Morris has been fantastic, but I think before it was the Brighton game, wasn't it? I think before Eli got injured, Morris was sitting a little bit deeper, wasn't he? He was playing a slightly different role. Yeah. He was connecting up the play alongside sort of Barkley because Lukonga was in there.
It was the best those two had worked together.
Yeah. And then because with Eli up top, and he works. He can. Morris works, but Eli really puts in the yardages.
I think that's the big difference, Darren. I think Elijah gives you so much more aggressive press from the top. He's so much more sort of faster and more aggressive with it. But on previous occasions where Eli's had the main spot and Carlton sort of played like a supporting role, he's been out on the wing. And that has never worked for me. Whereas, the last phase where they were doing it, as you say, he was playing sort of still central, maybe like an old school number 10 or something. Yeah. And Morris has got the intelligence and the know-how to play that role. And it was really going great. So, Elijah's loss was massive. But I just think his press, when he was on it, it's just so much more aggressive, and the whole team then follows that emphasis.
Yeah.
Would you rather they both start on Saturday, or Elijah comes on at some point in the match and leave Carlton up front? Because don't forget, we're also up against Ivan Toney and the gang there, aren't we?
Well, Toney didn't come on at the weekend, did he?
Did he not?
No, he's hasn't he fallen out of favour, isn't he?
Has he fallen? I think maybe. Well, he's going, isn't he? There's one point. Yeah. He's definitely leaving, but I'll be surprised if we don't see him. Because Brentford are not out of this yet. They're not out of this yet. I'm going to keep that in my mind. They're not out of this yet.
But if the manager doesn't think that his head's in the right space with regards to doing what's right for Brentford, then he's not going to put him on there. But for me, I would have every player available starting.
Yeah, okay, because it's so important.
Yeah, I always find it weird with a player coming back from injury that if he's fit enough to be on the bench, why is he not starting? Because you risk him breaking down, but you go, well, go on then, start, and what do we get out of you? Rather than, come on, Bell. I know it was the different hamstring, I think, in the end, but Bell was injured, came back, then got injured straight away, then had to go off.
Yeah.
At least you started him and saw what you could get out of him.
Yeah, no, as I say, this is, it's absolutely critical. So for me, you start with your absolute strongest team.
I've just looked at a couple of stats that producer Jacob left for us about the weekend, and only Sheffield United have conceded more own goals than Luton this season, 6-4, and
two pretty big ones,
isn't it? It's just terrible. And Hash's own goal after 65 seconds was the earliest in a Premier League game since Alcaraz for Everton against Southampton in 2014. Crazy. Do you
remember John Dreher's own goal when he smashed it? Was it into Julian James's face?
Yeah, but it's the sort of same thing, isn't it? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Look, we've got 5 games remaining. We asked you guys, how confident are you feeling about the final 5 games? Let's have a look at those 5 games for us, as we've already said. Brentford, Wolves, Everton, West Ham and Fulham. If you think Everton have got to play Brentford, Everton have got to play Forest and us and Sheffield United. Everton, on paper, looks like they've got the easier run in. However, Everton haven't won for a few games, have they?
They flukily beat Burnley last week because Burnley's keeper is atrocious. But that's how they got their win. The goalie kicked it against Calvert-Lewin, it went in.
Yeah.
The game before that, they got a draw with a very, very late, dubious penalty. Other than that, I don't know.
So you've got to hope, surely, that Everton Forest is a draw.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think there's a lot of goals in Everton, to be honest with you.
Well, no, I think Calvert-Lewin's hamstring injury as well. I think might have heard on radio earlier.
Right, okay, well, fingers crossed.
And then we can allow Sheffield United to beat Everton. That would be nice.
Yes.
See, this is my dream world now.
Dave's going shopping.
Do you know, we sit here and we try and work it out, but so many teams have to play each other. There's just mathematically, it's so hard to sort of go, where's it going to go?
It's interesting, isn't it? When you look at the Brentford run in, the Everton run in Forest, and again this week, producer Jacob still hasn't put Palace's last games in, but according to Darren, they won't get any points from that, so we'll be all right.
They don't need any more. They're safe.
You'll say the free's done it.
Yeah. They're good. I think, when you say it's in your hands, it's in Everton's hands, isn't it? When you look, they've got to play the lot of us, so it is in their hands. I think they've got a couple of games in hand. I think they've got Chelsea, haven't they, going on? So it is in Everton's hands to stay up. I still think it's us or Forest.
Yeah.
Well, just as an aside there, it could be us, it could be Forest, but it still could be Everton. Mm-hmm. And talking about Everton, they've appealed their points, haven't they?
No surprise.
No surprise, but it's a bit like. I just get really annoyed that we weren't allowed to appeal ours, and they've already had a deduction in the points they were given, and they should have said, if you accept the deduction, then you can't appeal. If you don't accept the deduction, then you can appeal.
But they set the stall out with Forest, didn't they? They didn't say it to Forest. You can't say it to Everton.
They should have said it to both of them, Darren. That's how I look. And I know I sound like I'm really anti the Football League because of it, or the Premier League because of it, but it's not that. It's not how we were treated or any other clubs are treated. You've got to treat all the clubs the same. And at the moment, the problem is that the bottom 3 don't have that knowledge of what might happen after the season finishes. And I think that is terrible.
Well, again, driving over here, I thought I heard on the radio that Everton have put their appeal in and they're promising they're going to give them the response as soon as possible before the end of the season. Yep, Forest's appeal has gone in, but that's not going to happen till after the end of the season.
You can't help thinking they're going to go, how much can we take off they don't get relegated?
Yeah.
You can't help thinking that. Or maybe, even if we do deduct some, Luton and Burnley and Sheffield United haven't got enough points to stay up, so it won't make any difference. But I genuinely feel aggrieved that they allowed them to have a points deduction reduced, and as we discussed last week, for ridiculous reasons in some instances.
Yep.
And then say, well, if you do appeal, then we're not going to reduce the figure.
Yeah.
And you can argue it from 10 points rather than 6, or 12 points rather than 4 points.
It's just a shambles, mate. It's just a shambles.
So how confident are you both, about our final 5 games?
I think out of the home games, we will probably get 7 points. That's
7?
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Darren?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think overall, over the 5 games, there's... Here we go. I'm spreading my bets, but I think over the 5 games, there's 7, 8, 9 points. I'll be amazed if we get more than 9 out of those 5.
Well, I'm going for 15, and I'll let you know how I feel after the next one. In general, we haven't won that many games all season, but how funny would that be if we actually managed to do that?
Incredible.
And it would still, put one up of Garth Crooks as well.
I know it's your massive cliche, one game at a time, but it really is. The Bournemouth game was, the focus on that was really this game, and this game only is the one that matters. Now we've got that Man City one out of the way. They will be so focused on Saturday, going into the most minute detail, every single bit they'll be working on. So just fingers crossed.
You're right. It's that cliche of one game at a time, but there's no way they did that with this Brentford game before the Man City game. They've been planning for Brentford before.
Of course,
Man City.
and why wouldn't you? Because we all knew the result of Manchester City was almost impossible to get.
Yeah.
They are so good. We asked you guys, how confident are you feeling about the final 5 games and how many points do you reckon we'll get? Andrew says it's a case of the injury front. Can we overcome the devastating loss to the squad? I'll go for 9 points. Whatever happens, I'm bloody proud of this season. And balls to anyone who says otherwise. I should pre-read these. I really should.
Andrew tells it straight.
Yeah, and Dom says it's all about getting some of the injured players back, as we've already said, and hit the ground running. If we do, then 10 points is more than possible. If not, then 6 is likely enough. 6 is not going to be enough, is it?
No, I think so.
Justin, as much as I would like it to be otherwise, I think we'll just fall short. We may get the points, but so will others. So fingers crossed. I am totally wrong, Justin. We're with you on that one. Jack says, averaging less than a point a game, so anything more than 5 from 5 is overachieving, but some massive winnable home games. I think we need 8 points. Ashton says, fairly confident with winnable games and most at home. Is it? If we get the Kenny Rock in, Kenilworth Road, please. If we get Kenilworth Road Rock in, we'll be fine. Simon, I think we'll get 7, a win and 4 draws. Good on. Critical that the win is against Everton, in my opinion. If it's 7, it will be enough, I reckon. Ashley says, Hart says 10 points, Head says 6. Need some bodies back to help the fight, the cause. And finally, Richard Hines, he says, we'll stay up on a grand total of 30 points for poetic reasons. Brilliant.
We'll have some of that.
Some of that.
There's been a couple of interviews after the Man City game with Robbie Edwards, and it's just those little subtle hints that maybe we'll see a couple of the faces back on Saturday, whether it be the bench or starting. Just little sort of nuggets of little tantalising stuff. So, it will be really interesting to see what the squad and the team is this weekend.
You've got to put your faith in our manager and the staff. But we do need those injured players back.
We do.
We do.
They'll be doing everything. The medical staff, oxygen tents or witchcraft, whatever it takes, really. But just the more bodies. As I alluded to it earlier, 5 youth team players. Fair play to those lads for being at a level where I know they had to be picked, but what an experience that'd been for them. But it would just be good to have some game changers back on the bench.
Do we go on, Taryn? Sorry.
No. I was going to say I was going to back that up completely with it's the bench as well. The strength in depth, isn't it? He's putting these youngsters. I know he put a couple on at City, but he doesn't want to have to use them. Does he?
Yeah, because look what happened the previous home game. Fred and Berry come off and not turn the game, just really push the game on for us. And that's what we need. We've got to have that option.
Who would have said Fred was going to play for us in the Premier League, to be fair? I thought we genuinely, with all due respect to him, I thought we'd seen the last of him, to be honest. I didn't think he was going to play a part. But when he's come on, he's been pretty deep. He's taken his heart out,
he's taken his opportunity. Really, I know he gave away the penalty, but a lot of players would have been turned inside out. I think he's really taken his opportunity.
I think he's a massive confidence player. And I think when he's got some confidence, the pace that he's got causes problems. I don't know how often he's been at full confidence, and he does seem injury prone, but you can see why we went for him. There is such an exciting player there, and it's great that he's had a little sniff of the sort of Premiership, and as say, the last home game, I thought he done great.
Do you know the one that I feel really sorry for, and I'd love to see him, even if it's one appearance, would be Potsy.
Yeah,
I'd love him to get a Premier League appearance.
He seems to have broken down though badly, doesn't he?
And actually, if he'd been remotely fit, he would have got some proper game time.
Yeah, but what a brilliant last competitive kick if it does turn out that way for us.
True.
Forest are going to find out their points deduction after they played Everton. There's a surprise. I'll be very surprised if that's reduced or rescinded, wouldn't you?
I bet you it does get reduced.
I absolutely wouldn't be surprised, Dave, because it's just ridiculous. I said it to you guys. My fear is that we go and get 9 points. They pick up 7, so we finish a point above them, and they get a point given back, and they'll stay up on goal difference.
Well, we'll know that. We'll know exactly what they've been deducted next weekend on Saturday. After the Saturday game on the Monday, we'll know.
Okay.
Because they're going to release it then. So at that point, we'll know where we stand with Nottingham Forest, and it's only Everton then that is the issue.
Yeah.
It's, technically, if they drag the Everton thing out, 24th of May before they tell us. You can't plan. You can't plan for the following season. You can't do anything about it. So let's forget the points deduction. Let's win the last 5 games.
Yeah, easy.
Simple as that, isn't it? If you haven't already, Everton home tickets will be on sale. Probably as you're listening to this podcast, the Wolves are out. There's 3,000 tickets available for that. Good luck if you're trying to get one of those. And I'm just thinking now that we just got to keep our fingers crossed for Brentford and make sure that we put in the performance of our lifetime at Brentford. And the Kenilworth Road is really, really loud.
Yeah, exactly. May I suggest to the club they bring back the buy one, get one free on beers.
And can we get there at 12?
Yep.
And have it running from there for the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah. Buy one, get one free.
Do you know, we were saying about cliches earlier. If there was ever a cliche for they're already on the beach, if you look at these teams we've got to play, they've all got a case for being on the beach, haven't they?
Yeah. But they won't be. They won't be.
Blooming won't be.
Something that annoyed me about the Man City ground.
Go on.
We were up in the gods, level 3.
Yep.
You were down the
Level
front,
1.
level 1, and we couldn't meet up for a beer.
Yeah, it was saved me some money though.
I'm going to say, and it was it was Dave's round, of course, and yeah, we couldn't meet up for a beer.
I bought you a coffee instead. It was an mate. Look, that stadium. The last time we went there was the bloody playoff final, which was disappointing.
One of the most miserable journeys home from a game I've ever had.
Given that, right, that was a miserable day coming home. But even on Saturday, I just come out of the game and went, oh well.
Yeah.
Never expected anything more, so it doesn't really matter. The stadium is awesome, really. The fans inside were a bit, I don't know. It's touristy again, isn't it? It's
if there's any
touristy.
justice, we could be able to sing the song Conference Champions. You're going to sing that.
That's what they should have sung.
Yeah.
That's what we should have sung. Look, so that's about the end of it for us tonight. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. But before I go, I do have to say a big shout out to Zoe, who stayed at home on Saturday looking after their dog Gladys so that Nigel could go to the game. Hope you had a good time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe. And hopefully we come back with 3 points and a marvellous win from Brentford. Thanks a lot again.